Hello everyone. So it's Monday, September 8th, and I thought I would use, so it's this deck it's one of those other decks by Taroko Studio, and here's the website, tarocco-studio.com. Tarocco. I love it because it just shuffles so easily, and there are extra cards. And I thought I would look into what procedure did the monster have, if any. Did he have a procedure? Because it very well just could have been that he was tired and exhausted and took a few days off. I mean, you know, he is up there in years, and he is very evil, which causes a person's life force to go in the wrong direction and work against him. He's definitely has a strong constitution. Probably one of those people that could have easily, who could have, if he were healthy, lived to be well over 100. Ooh. Okay, so there's the secret. There's something secret there. This has to do with examinations. Okay. So, did he have anything? Did he have a procedure, and if so, what was it? Because it couldn't have been an LVAD, because that takes 2 weeks of recovery. People are out, they're like in the ICU for 5 days even just to have the surgery. There's a possibility of an intra-aortic balloon pump, which can lead to causing blood clots and strokes and infections in the bloodstream. But that could happen like a stent. Well, the balloon pump and a stent that could be, I was reading up on that, like a 30-minute surgery with just a few days recovery. So maybe that was it. But let's see. Did he have a procedure? What actually happened during those days that he was out? Okay. All right. Taking his time, something moving slowly. That's interesting. The garden card is our social media card, but with the combo here, this could definitely be moving around too slow to communicate over his and here he is, communicate over his untruth and social media group. Okay, so snake, child, something new, something complicated, something that maybe goes with like pumping the blood. Maybe his blood was moving too slowly. We've got the dog, which has to do with assistants and doctors and nurses. Let me bring this up a little tiny bit. There we go. Okay. Yeah, here we have the health card. This also is our card for the brain. Clover is all about recovery. And it's very possible 2 things were done to him. Because he was, I think maybe he was exhausted. Let's keep going. We have the bear, the sun, the tower, which has a completely different meaning. This to me would be Walter Reed or some other medical center. This is a medical center card. Owl's communication wisdom was silenced. Social media, yeah, just quiet. Okay. The island. So he was definitely isolated. So that's interesting. And something for the long-term planning for his life force in this elderly body to do better in the long-term future. Okay, the ship has to do with movement, archway, something to get through that creates a new beginning. Fish has to do with water. Oh, the flow at the medical center. He had an abundance of care at the medical center, an abundance of protection. Pandora's box brings through, well, they had to interfere. They had to interfere medically in order to do something. And here we have the scythe and the clouds. Okay. So, well, the book. So the book is usually about things that are hidden and are secret. But when it comes to health, it does have to do with the brain and tests and exams. So I think he had a problem, and they had to do a lot of tests. And then, of course, here's the health event. He's up here on top, knighting to the tree. The tree is absolutely our health card, and it's absolutely our card that has to do with mental health, brain, ancestry, all of that. The snail just brings in something slow and something that can help to adapt and create some kind of, protection. You get the little shell on the back, right? But it also has to do with whatever you're working with. These cards are mirroring each other. Whatever he was working with had slowed him down. Now, it's interesting that the heart card didn't come through. So I'm wondering if he was getting dizzy and confused and having major problems with his brain more than his heart. Because I do believe that he most likely has had stents put in the past, which would be, like an opening that would lessen the issue, bring the flow into it, because they can put them even in your neck. They can put them everywhere. Well, I don't know about everywhere, but he was having complications, old age complications with his vitality, with with just his health, with his health. And you know what else? Maybe he was overheating and just, hot. And then, because if I go with the tarot cards that I had been getting, the week before, it was all about little surgeries. It was all about a health event. We had the Nine of Pentacles reversed. I had the Ace of Swords reversed one day. And then always about strokes. But then also lots of Five of Cups reversed, which is everything down south. Now that would be the snake card. In the Lennies, that would be the equivalent. But it's also it can also be one of those cards that relates to having a complicated issue that needed to be taken care of right away. So he had complications of old age more about things coming up with the brain. Oh, you know what I'm remembering? The other. So there's been, over the months, there's been, look to me like nervous system issues, neurological problems, everything down south, things with his brain, and the possibility of stroke, which could also be an aneurysm. But so here's both of these cards at the center of the reading have to do with, the brain. So what he had done, if I go with just the four corners framing it in, this is a small surgery. This could even be like trying to clean out the, and what happened, like probably some sharp pains, but maybe even trying to clean out some kind of plaque somehow, like plaque in his veins. Because, I've had those cards recently too. So, but to clear out, to bring in the flow and create more movement, which would bring through a new beginning and a change and a transformation for him, to get him across the threshold so he could, stay upright. And with the clouds, maybe he was having problems breathing. It could be long COVID issues, that have affected the brain. Because remember, right in the center here, for sure, it has to do with his brain. I needed to get back his power. Was having trouble breathing is what I'm feeling with, and or it could be, both. Usually it's both. Problems with his brain thinking clearly. Problems with just feeling under the weather, and a difficult, something difficult to diagnose. Interesting. But this card is all about the need to take deep breaths, bring oxygen into the body. So that's what it was all about. He wasn't getting enough oxygen to his brain. And now, the reason I used this deck is because there is a balloon card in here, and I thought, well, and here's the heart. I thought, well, maybe if it's the intra-aortic balloon pump, then that card could come through. But where is it? It didn't. The key was, to me, could have been a stent. Something that creates an opening. Here's the balloon. So I think, honestly, he was just exhausted and dizzy. Exhausted, dizzy, problems with his head. They needed to get his life force, flowing again, based on all these cards around the edge. He definitely went to a medical center, or it could have been the mini medical center in, that they have in the White House. I don't have the storks showing that it would have been in a plane, in Air Force One or Marine One. This is my medical center card, though, so that would be much higher than, I think it would be much higher than the one in the White House. And I don't have the house card here either. Yeah. Travel, the ship is a travel card. Travel to a medical center where they have doctors and nurses. Yeah. So, okay. That's really interesting. So no wonder he wasn't gone that long. Now, if notice we don't have the dirt nap card. I can't say that he had a heart, anything with his heart. I can't say that yeah, I can't say his heart was blocked. I can't say any of that. I can't even say that we don't have the dirt nap card, right? So, I mean, and I do believe he's still upright. I mean, that he is not the easiest guy to, now, voice, yeah, they can mimic him, but he is, I think it's absolutely ludicrous to think that that's a body double out there. If you guys are getting those types of readings or whatever, no. I just can't see that at all. I have 2 good eyeballs still, so far. Sometimes when I see him, I feel like poking my eyes out, but oh, goodness. But just right here in the 9 box, you know, if I didn't even go further, this is brain, something with his brain, things were going too slow. He probably couldn't interact well. Interaction slow. Complications with the way that things were flowing. It could have even been, you know, 'cause this card can have to do with the colon and all of that, but it's also a card of sometimes just small complications. And then we have the small card here. The child is a card for like something not very big. Something in the early stages when it comes to health, something that is sometimes too small to even diagnose or detect. So you can tell they had a hard time diagnosing that it was blood flow to the brain. But I think he had a really good doctor, a very wise doctor at the medical center, and they knew how to help him recover, because this card is all about recovery. And the timing on this card is 3 to 4 days, no more than 2 weeks. But I think this is the reason, because right off from the beginning, remember I'm asking why was he out, and here's our 3 to 4 day card. So let's take it a step further. Why not? And see if I can get some timing as to how much time has this guy been able to pull off with this procedure? Because it does look like something was done. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had the scythe over here. How much extra time with this procedure did he buy? And remember that the dream that I had where I was a nurse, and so it obviously was in the, you know, something, and that's happened all my life. I've always had precognitive dreams. Or, you know, dreams if I've asked, you know, like what really happened in the past, but mostly just for my own personal, you know. But I believe I was dreaming about the future, and it was him. I was a nurse, wiping off oozing cuts on the side of his mouth, which to me just means that and they were kind of like the South Park, you know, but I think it was just a metaphor to tell me that he couldn't talk anymore because he wasn't talking, and he was trying to smile and was happy, and he was just like drooling, like, you know, like his brain wasn't working. And I was talking to the doctor or the nurse, male. I just know there was a male behind me, and I said, or next to me off to the left, and I said, well, I like him better this way. And that was it. And then I woke up. It was like the last thing, you know, like right before you wake up. Okay. So when will we see some other big health changes, or when will he be unable? When will we When will we see what I saw in my dream, where he won't be able to talk anymore? I mean, my goodness. I remember Libby getting Libby got a long time ago, that she saw him drooling and picking like the pilling or something on the side of an armchair. It's kind of the same thing that I saw in the dream, except for, that he can't talk. But wouldn't that be a sight to, or a sight? Wouldn't that be nice to not have to? And while I'm at it, why don't I see? Well, is that too much to bring? Well, yeah, I could look at the conditions. What will happen before? And then I want to get timing over here. What will happen before, and what will be the actual event, and where's he going to wind up? That's it. Where will Waldo wind up? Okay, so the archway is the change and the transformation where you have to let go of all your attachments or you don't get over that threshold. And it's a super important time in a person's life. Okay? And any resistance will mean that you don't get older. I mean, you don't get older. You don't get over the threshold, and but it's the unknown, because you don't know where you're until you cross over the threshold. You don't know what's on the other side. Okay, stars, island. Okay, so he'll be isolated. Isolated, minimized, toxic, possibly a toxic situation. The stars has to do with a person's nervous system. Their ability to connect the dots and network. The letter has to do with prescriptions, and again, can you talk, can you communicate, can you text, any of that. Mostly prescriptions when it comes to health. The tower is a medical center. The key is something really important. The clouds again, so confusion, the broom. The broom has to do with something repetitive. We all know what this card is up here. I don't even need to say it out loud. End of his flow, the end of his abundance. No movement, no transactions. With the cross card, oh my God. Coffin in the cross card, it could be within 1 to 6 months. I did get, the last time I read on timing on him, I did get July 4th next year. Nobody wants to hear that though. Here he is. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So, when it comes to timing with the house, 4 days, 4 weeks, 1 month, but actual crossing over, 1 to 6 months, because here's the painful loss and the ending. The loss of his ability to connect the dots anymore, the loss of his flow, the loss of his transactional nature, his ability to grift. Also, this is our card for, and I forgot to say that when it was over here. This card rules the urinary tract, and it could be an infection from, because we had the scythe and the fish. It could be, and the mice can definitely bring through an infection that travels all throughout his body. And then, sorry, I didn't mean to sound excited. Let me reel my horns back in here. Bladder infection, UTI. Okay? It's a card that has to do with vertigo. I forgot about that. Yeah, that was over here. So, and we had the clouds. So look how the clouds down here creates the confusion and fog, breathing problems, no more breathing, vertigo, infection, no more breathing, trying to breathe. It might very well happen at nighttime. Nighttime is the stars. The cross card brings through suffering, a lot of aches and pains, physically drained, the end of, this could be the end of his suffering, because here he is. Could be the end of his suffering. Yeah, okay, with the mice, it can be poisons, it can be toxins. The mice has to do with addictions, major stress, major anxiety. Oh my goodness, especially with these cards, yeah, with the clouds. It can also be, the mice can also be a virus. Oh yeah, I have gotten those cards before with the tarot. Okay. Sometimes the meaning with the mice has to do with minimizing and calling back our energy. Yeah, because he needs to cross over and to get to another, this would be getting into some other realm. Now, I don't believe that the soul and the spirit are the same until a person does so much deep process soul work and their soul is purified enough to be one with their spirit. That's not him. That's not him. So he's not getting over this archway. And so, like if people are looking to see, like, okay, where did he go? I don't get him crossing over. Well, if you think of the fact that the soul is not the same as the spirit's already crossed over. For him, we don't know how big his spirit is or what realm it naturally inhabits. It may be a hell realm for all we know. But the spark of his first existence began in the highest realms, because they do for all of us. All of us. It's what we do with our own free will that determines where our soul goes. And so when he finally goes to cross over, it's going to be hell to try to get up past this authority and back to his normal flow. That's not going to happen. For who knows how long. And that's like, it's probably why, like, Epstein, nobody can get him to cross over. Well, his soul won't, but again, it's not the same as the spirit. So, and then as far as in the future, this to me, these two cards, the letter and the mice, is like a toxic cocktail, a toxic prescription that his nervous system can't handle, and no matter what the doctors may try to do, he stops breathing. But before that, he's confused, and like I said, can't, I'm going with my dream, and I'm going with what Libby got, that he's just, too many systems are overwhelmed, and he's just drooling somewhere. And It could be him in a small type of a institution, or sometimes the houses are card for, especially with the tower and the moon. This could be a mental institution, insane asylum. This could be a nursing care facility. And maybe it's them that accidentally gives him the wrong prescription. Like, because they could get mixed up. That can happen. Especially when he has single-handedly done exactly what Project 2025 wanted. And, well, how much did they take away? Was it 300 and... No, I'm sorry. 500 and... I just saw it on... if you go to Sheldon Whitehouse's YouTube channel, he did a little short. Well, he did a long, and then they always take a little short out of it. But there's a short on him talking about the 500, I'm pretty sure it's 535. I know it was billion. $535 billion taken out of Medicare. So how much karma do you think this guy has when it comes to healthcare facilities? Because that's what the tower is. The tower is our medical center. It's our institution. But he might not make it there. Or he goes there and then he ends up going into home care, hospice, and within a month, or at the next moon, the next cycle of the new moon or full moon, as far as timing goes, right? Now, this is interesting because both of these cards, they do have the connotation of, 28 days here, 32 days, full moon, new moon, the house again, 4 days, 4 weeks, that kind of a thing, 1 month. But the house card is a card of slow, though. When it comes to timing, it's slow. If you're trying to force it and get a number out of it, that's where you go with the 4 days or up to a month. But I don't like forcing things, so I'm just going to say slow and repetitive. Drooling, lunatic, lunacy. His reputation with the public will be seen as somebody who's, stuck, not getting over that archway, because he won't have the keys. He won't have, it's like they took the keys away from Grandpa and he can't drive anymore because he's crazy, because he's not trustworthy. He doesn't get the key. When you've got the cross and the coffin knighting to the key and the island up here isolating, he doesn't have the solution to get over the threshold. And instead he winds up, where they're just sweeping around him. Oh my God. Okay, I better stop. I'm not saying nice things at all. But the knighting, or mirroring, he is in some kind of a facility that's smaller after going through the whole medical procedure. And the cross for him to bear is the fact that he will be seen as the lunatic that didn't get out of the asylum. And when he does finally go, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be, it's not going to be nice at all, because it's a toxic cocktail there somehow or another at the medical center. I think it's at the medical center, not in the facility. But maybe, hey, I don't care. Okay, I'm gonna stop. Oh, take good care, you guys. Happy Monday. Bye.